All right, sweet. Flatline MMA podcast episode number 28. Kev, we're back. We took a week off, but hey, we got fight news. We got fights hopefully coming within the next week. I'm excited. Within the next 2 weeks, May 9th. So just wanted to get into that. Dana White breaking some huge news in regards to the future of the UFC within the next couple months here. So we're excited to kind of just share out what Dana had there. I know he ended up sharing out 3 dates for fights coming up within the next month here, all taking place. I guess they were able to find an arena. Obviously no fans, so we're going to go from there. So let's just get right into it. Big announcement. Dana White announcing to ESPN, I believe that was over last week, 3 dates for fight cards, all taking place one arena, the VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena, Jacksonville, Florida. No idea the specifics behind that specific arena, but it's good to go there. Apparently, we got 3 dates. We got May 9th, which was supposed to be UFC 250, which was the UFC 249 card that got canceled. I guess they're naming it UFC 249 now. That's going to be headlined by Ferguson Gaethje for the interim lightweight strap. So that fight's back on. Super happy about that. In the co-main, we got Henry Cejudo versus Dominic Cruz for the bantamweight title. And the rest of the card, I know we talked about it a little bit last week. The only difference there, the only fight that ended up not going through for this one was Felicia Spencer taking on Amanda Nunes for the featherweight title. I know Nunes came out. She wanted more time to train due to the coronavirus and stuff like that. She said that she hasn't had enough time, which, hey, Felicia Spencer's a formidable opponent, so respect to Amanda Nunes for not just kind of jumping in there because she's definitely a dangerous opponent. So we have UFC 49 taking place May 9th in Jacksonville. No fans. It is a pay-per-view, but the prelims are absolutely stacked for those people that, aren't going to buy the pay-per-view, which I think you're nuts. I know we're going through a weird time right now, stuff like that. A lot of people get laid off, crap like that. But the prelims are free, and the fights are absolutely insane. We'll get more in depth with that next week during fight week. We won't bore you with that. And then we have 2 more fight dates. We got May 13th. This card isn't fully built out yet, but rumor has it we're getting it headlined by Anthony Smith taking on Glover Teixeira, which is a huge light heavyweight bout. Obviously, 2 guys that have fought for the title in the past, so that's going to be an absolute barn burner. And then we got May 16th, Alistair Overeem taking on Walt Harris, another heavyweight clash. That's going to be a good fight. So, Kevin, let's start things off. May 9th, now that it's confirmed, it's ready to go. I know we had this happen to us a couple weeks ago. Does May 9th happen, and do we see Tony Ferguson take on Justin Gaethje in Jacksonville, Florida?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we had this happen to us last time where we thought we had a fight, and then a week before it was taken away. So I don't know what it's like in Florida, like what they're starting to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I know at least in Mass, it doesn't sound like they're going to start reopening anything after that May 4th date. It looks like it's going to be extended. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm not too hopeful for it, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, no, it's tough. And you know what? Obviously, Dana White, he sees the opportunity here. He sees that there's no sports going on. He wants everyone to have their eyes on that May 9th card, because that is going to be the only pay-per-view here in May. Obviously, there's something special about this VyStar Arena in Jacksonville because they're going to be holding all their events for the foreseeable future there. So, hopefully everything's good. Obviously, there's going to be no crowd. Something we haven't talked about yet is, what do you think about, obviously, it's a thing right now. Sports not having fans, it could happen for a while, Dana White even said. What do you think about it, and how do you think it's going to be different? I guess not necessarily like, obviously we can't be there anymore, right? But watching it on TV, like not being able to see a crowd there, you're going to be able to hear a pin drop. You're going to be able to hear Tony Ferguson, talking crap to Justin Gaethje in the center of the octagon when he's, slicing him up with elbows, or vice versa with Gaethje. Like, what's it going to be like not having fans? I feel like we haven't talked about it.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be weird. It's going to kind of be like The Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
It's going to be like the same amount of people, a few of their teammates and coaches and whatever, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, they're not going to have any of the pre-fight press conferences that are always pretty good, media days and stuff like that. So yeah, it'll definitely be weird, especially for like fighters like Connor, where they use that as to their advantage. Like they start the fight way beforehand with the mental warfare side of things. Like Don Cruz, he's good at that stuff. Henry Cejudo, he's good at that stuff. That not really gonna be able to use any of those tactics or the back and forth. But yeah, it'll definitely be weird, and I really don't understand how it's gonna make financial sense for the UFC to hold these events with no gate or anything like that, or any of the other events that they have leading up to the fight. So yeah, definitely be different.
Yeah, especially like I know we watched when me and you watched that Brazil card together when this thing first happened. There was no fans there, right? But then I feel like it's such a different atmosphere when we're talking 2 title fights. Like no crowd when a Tony Ferguson or Justin Gaethje, but it's going to be the most violent fight of all time potentially, and there's going to be no fans there. There's going to be 10 people in the arena. You know what I mean? And 3 of them are going to be 2 fighters and the referee. Think about that. And it's like. I could, the Brazil card, and we watched it on a TV. We were at some bar when it was going on, so we really didn't kind of hear how quiet it was in the arena. So it's going to be, now that everyone's in their house, you're going to be able to hear the coaches yelling. Like you said, it's going to be like The Ultimate Fighter. It's going to be like Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series, like something like that. And it's weird because we don't know how any of these fighters are going to react. Is it going to be the same? Because some of these fighters, I bet you, get fueled by the crowd, like you said. Like we know Conor McGregor loves walking in there, hearing, all of his friggin' drunken Ireland fans just going absolutely berserk, right? But is he the same person if you walk in there and it's just a quiet arena? There's no one to like help you boost up that friggin' testosterone, get fired up. So I'm curious to see, especially with 2 title fights on this card. And then, you brought up a good point with just like the financial aspect. How does it make sense that they're holding these events? I think the pay-per-view will kind of make up for a little bit, but like we just said, we're in a friggin' recession over here, and there's going to be some people that aren't going to pay, $65, whatever. I think they upped it or something for the pay-per-view out, no matter how good the card is, because if you look from top to bottom, it's absolutely stacked. But some people are going to just sit there and be like, screw it, we'll watch the prelims. There's going to be no crowd anyway. It's not even going to be good. So you do bring up a good point. I didn't even think of it from kind of like the business side. I know Dana's a smart guy, but I kind of do want to see what his play is here. And what he's thinking, because I know I can only imagine the money he lost just from like promoting UFC 249 for the first time, getting his hopes up 10 days before, and it's just fallen through like that. So curious to see, how he plays forward and what his angle is here. But obviously with such a stacked card, and I'm assuming they're going to stack May 13th, May 16th. We've lost about 4 or 5 different fight cards. So obviously all these fighters are going to come out of the woodworks, and now we're going to want to fight in Jacksonville. I don't know. Where do you kind of see, I know we live in friggin' Boston, right? Nothing's getting better here. Everything's just kind of getting worse. Nothing's going to open May 4th. I mean, where do you see kind of like the future of the UFC here on out, especially if this, Jacksonville place works? I know Dana White talked about the Fight Island too. What do you think about the Fight Island?
Yeah, I mean, it always seems like Dana finds a way. This first card, they're gonna do some figuring out. Might not be the best, but you saw that with the when they switched over to streaming, like how bad that card was with it lagging and pausing in the middle of the fights and stuff, and that they've kind of figured those kinks out. But yeah, I think Dana will figure it out. I just want to see some fights.
Crazy. Yeah, at this point, there's only so much Fight Pass you can watch. There's only so many reruns of fights that you can see, the best fights ever, like, all that stuff. ESPN, UFC's been doing a pretty good job at that. I think, we'll get more in depth with the May 9 card, but just looking at, May 13th, May 16th, we'll talk about those a little bit more. Anthony Smith versus Glover Teixeira. I mean, what do you think about that fight? Hope that's on a Wednesday night too. So that's even more of a gift for UFC fans. We get to watch UFC in the middle of the week on Wednesday night on a work night. So obviously fight card hasn't been fully announced, and that is just a rumored headliner, but that was supposed to headline a fight in April anyway. So, apparently these guys have both agreed, and this is the fight to happen. So what do you think about this one? Obviously 2 title contenders. So what do you think?
Yeah, I was thinking with this, I mean, like the card that we have for, was it May 9th, the first one?
Yep.
Right, there are huge fights all over this entire card.
Huge fights.
I was thinking it probably would make more sense for them to save this for a later date and try to test the waters with, the Smith Teixeira fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking too, like even like, I don't know, all these fights look like they could make good main events. If they wanted to spread this out a little bit, like for Wednesday have Ngannou versus Rosenstrike.
Yeah.
Something like that. They could definitely pull from this card, but yeah, no, it's a good fight. I'm kind of curious on what they have for the rest of that card.
Exactly. Yeah.
Who's going to be fighting? Can't be any of the international fighters.
No.
So all U.S. based fighters. So yeah.
Yeah, it's you actually bring up a good point. I didn't even think of it. Why aren't they, obviously Dana White said, he's like, I want to put together the most badass fight card in history of fighting, in which, obviously barring this all goes through and May 9th happens, this is going to be the baddest fight card in history. I mean, look from top to bottom, Tony Ferguson, Justin Gaethje for an interim title. You got Henry Cejudo versus Dom Cruz. Dom Cruz, an absolute legend. Held the belt for a little bit. Obviously, got dethroned by Cody Garbrandt. We haven't seen him since. And Dom Cruz's biggest thing, what he says is there's no such thing as ring rust. And Dom's been out for 3-4 years, so I'm curious to see how we're going to get him back. We've heard him so much on the TV, being a commentator, critiquing fights, doing what he needs to do, being the best in the world at that, because I think he's a really good commentator. But now he's stepping back in the ring. Last time we saw him, he had a friggin' tough 5-round fight with Cody Garbrandt. We've never seen him, get schooled like that before. And that was a master class by Cody Garbrandt. And then just look at kind of those two careers, right, with Cody and Dom. It's like crazy. They both, have been on some skids. It's like crazy. So, and then Henry Cejudo obviously dominating the MMA game right now. Triple C, he's the double champ. So I'm curious to see that one. And then you got Francis Ngannou, who puts people's lights out in the first round versus Jairzinho Rosenstrike, heavyweight bout. That should, potentially wherever Stipe, DC, whenever they fight, this should be for an interim title, I think. I know they were, lobbying for that. You got guys like Cater, Stevens, Donald Cerrone, Anthony Pettis are headlining the prelims. It's insane. Yeah. You got guys like Charles Rosa, Bryce Mitchell, just all up, you got vets to up-and-comers to guys like Nico Price, Vicente Luque, who are just, put on a show every time they fight. So this card has everything from top to bottom. But yeah, I am curious as to why they didn't want to kind of put, Francis Ngannou in one, or take, Charles Rosa, Bryce Mitchell, put it in one, and just kind of, even out these cards. Yeah. Then I think more people would watch them and stuff like that. So, curious to kind of see what the play is there too. So, I mean, regardless, May 9th, May 13th, May 16th, we have, I know Dana's going to put together some badass cards. We'll see. There's a lot of people that missed out on fights in April that are looking to fight in May. So I think that's where I'm optimistic, saying, I think we're going to see some fucking good shit. And I know another announcement that Dana did make. He did say that Khabib is out till September, and that the winner of Tony versus Gaethje will fight Khabib in September. So that's good. Obviously, we've heard that before. Sucks Khabib's out. So now that, I guess, we got, Gaethje Ferguson fighting, does that set up a summertime Nate versus Conor? I think that's what a lot of people want asking. Ask that on Twitter. I feel like now it's better. I think it's the best time to do the trilogy, because especially with all these big fights coming up, I think they need something smack dab like in the middle of the summer, International Fight Week or something like that. You just throw it out there, McGregor Diaz, welterweight, or whatever, make it at lightweight, because Conor did it at welterweight the second time. I don't know. What do you think about that? I feel like it's his only option right now. I know we spoke a little bit about this last time, but
Yeah, no, I think that's the only one that really makes any sense for him. I mean, Ferguson and Gaethje are probably going to come out of this fight pretty banged up, the two of them. I don't see them fighting or being ready to fight in the middle of summer. Khabib won't be there. That pretty much only leaves Nate. There's really no one else that's in the running to besides like Masvidal.
Yeah, of course.
Or something like that. But yeah, I think the Diaz fight makes sense. Do it at 170.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why he fought Cerrone at 170. I'm assuming he kind of wanted to make a statement in that weight class. And if that's where he wants to stay, then I think fighting Diaz at 170, getting more experience in there, closing out that trilogy, that'd be a huge fight. And then that kind of sets him up, to fight anybody at 170.
Mm-hmm.
And then, 155, all those guys would be ready to fight again.
Yeah.
A couple of months.
Yeah. Well, it's the Conor effect, man. It's like he can skip the line in any weight division that he wants. You know what I mean? He makes those decisions because he does kind of run the sport. You know what I mean? He's Dana's right-hand guy. Now, when you look at the Diaz fight, right, we kind of saw, we saw Diaz back in November take that loss to Jorge. I know controversy. Could we see a better Nate Diaz in round 4 and 5? Obviously we had the, we had the TKO, which Dr. Stoppage in New York for the BMF title against Jorge Masvidal. And then we saw Conor obviously tear apart, Cowboy within, in under a minute.
40 seconds.
Yeah. So kind of after seeing those two performances, who are you taking in the trilogy? Because it's tough now. Yeah. It really is.
Yeah, because you can't really – I mean, McGregor did beat Cerrone, but it was only 40 seconds. So you can't really judge, if he's improved, if his conditioning's improved. That's going to be the biggest thing in his fight with Diaz is his condition. And if he, gasses out halfway through the second round like he did in the last fight and then kind of made a comeback at the end of the 4th and 5th, it's going to make it a really challenging fight for him. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's just the conditioning. His striking looked to be better than Nate's, but Nate was just throwing more output as the fight went on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say McGregor if his conditioning is good. If it's not, then I got Diaz.
Yeah, I think I don't know. At this point, it's like we all saw the BMF title was hyped up, right? Did Nate kind of get his ass kicked for the first 3 rounds? Yeah, he did. But what is Nate Diaz the best at? Is just getting up from when Jorge Masvidal hit him with that head kick. I was like, okay, this is over. And then for the Terminator, he just gets right back up. You know what I mean? And he continues to do what he does. He comes forward. Obviously Nate's boxing is really good, but Masvidal definitely outclassed him in there on the feet. But people had their doubts, being like, they shouldn't have stopped it in the third. They should have let it go 2 more rounds. Nate's better in the later rounds, which realistically we don't know if that's true because Nate hasn't even been in that many 5-round fights. But obviously when you're going up against Conor, his striking is legit, man. He's precise, he's pinpoint. But what does Nate have in common with a lot of these other fighters? But what he doesn't have in common is that he's already fought McGregor twice. You know what I mean? He's taken McGregor's best shots, and McGregor's proven that he's not putting him away, right? And that's where I think that can play a big mental game. You know what I mean? McGregor took, he started the DS2 fight with the leg kicks, which was brilliant because everyone kind of knows that Nate's not that good at defending leg kicks, and he butchered the leg. You know what I mean? Had Nate drop 3 times, but in Nate fashion, he wasn't going anywhere. And you know what I mean? Some people think that he could have won that second McGregor fight. So it's like, I think this is just a true rivalry. I think it's one of the greatest rivalries ever in the sport, and the trilogy is going to be insane. I think it's going to be another 5-round war, which I think they're going to give it to McGregor. I think McGregor's going to do just enough to win it, but I think it's going to be like the same thing. I think Nate's going to be in trouble multiple times. Then Connor's going to gas out. Then he might get a second win. So that fight's going to be awesome. I think that's the only fight to make next. I think there's a lot of people with partners coming up, even the ones that have been canceled, right? Like you look at the lightweight division, like, apparently we had Poirier and Hooker, dancing. We had, Paul Felder, stuff like that. Like all these guys who fights that have been canceled or have recently fought in the beginning of 2020 are all going to get fights back in May and moving on. So I'm curious to see kind of what the UFC is going to do moving forward, especially with no fans. I really am curious as to how this fight island's going to work. Dana White's literally like, we're putting a ring in the middle of the ocean. It's going to be badass. Like this thing's going to be great. So I don't know if you saw that quote. It's just insane. He's I don't know the logistics of it or anything like that, but I know that's going to be for more of the international fighters, which is going to be huge. You know what I mean? We're going to get to see some of those stars, obviously not come to the US. So it's going to be all international fights. So that's going to be pretty cool. I know we had Alexander Volkanovski kind of tweet at a bunch of different guys. Like he tweeted at like Korean Zombie, Ortega, like all the, all the featherweights that he wants coming out, Max Holloway, everyone. So, I mean, that's like so fun now that we get to think about that and think about what the venue is going to look like on an island. We're going to get some title fights on there. So I know Dana said he's going to update us on that. I think he said June was going to be Fight Island. Like they were getting that shit ready. So curious to see how they're going to play with that. But I think my whole opinion on May 9th, do I think it's going to happen? Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's a little too soon. I know like Ferguson showed that he signed the bout and Gaethje's doing his interview saying he signed the bout. I just think, I don't know. I don't see it happening. I think it's going to the same thing's going to happen like we did for UFC 249. It's going to be the same thing. I think it's going to be a last minute, I think it's going to be this week. We're going to hear like Thursday, Friday again. It's going to be like, oh, we can't do it. But who knows? Dana's a sick bastard. I don't know. I just got that feeling. Like I'm not trying to get my hopes up because I'm looking at this card and it's so goddamn badass that I want it to happen because I'm so sick and tired of not watching anything. But at the same time, like I don't want to just lose everything and be like, it's not happening. So yeah. I'm going to stick with the mindset that it's not happening, but I'm super excited, obviously, if it does. But I don't want to get my hopes, have them up here and then just so. But you're pretty confident, you think? Think it's going to happen?
Nah, I don't know. I really don't.
It's tough to say. It really is because it's like.
Yeah, it's just like daily things change. It's like every single day you have something new. So especially with the amount of time that we got from now until 2 weeks almost. Yeah. Well under 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. There's a whole lot of things that could happen between then.
Yeah, and we obviously don't know like the state of Florida, like what, I know they're kind of opening up some things in Florida. Who knows if it could get worse there within the next 2 weeks. Yeah. And then they shut everything down because they're opening up some businesses and stuff like that. I don't know if that's facts or anything, but like I'm assuming they're doing it here because they know something that a lot of people don't know. Maybe Florida's opening up some businesses. So for all we know, they could open some up and it could get way worse there and then they could just pull the plug. So, we'll see what happens. I just think it's a badass card. It's pay-per-view. I want it to happen. It's two of the most violent fighters probably ever is on the roster right now. So I'm stoked if it happens. If it doesn't, I'm going to be heartbroken again, but I'm trying not to get my hopes up. And then May 13th and May 16th. So we have 3 fight cards potentially in 8 days starting May 9th. So, I mean, as a fight fan, that's your dream right there. So I just need it to happen. I'm so sick of not having sports, man. I need to see some knockouts. I need to see some belts being put around people. And I need to see some trash talk, some press conferences because this is getting ridiculous. So, but yeah, May 9th, May 13th, May 16th, breaking news from Dana White. We might be seeing some fights, ladies and gentlemen. I'm friggin' hoping. We got May 9th pay-per-view, May 13th, ESPN Plus, May 16th, ESPN Plus. So I'm pumped. I know Kev's pumped. You got anything else, buddy?
No, that's it.
Next week, we will dive in deeper with the May 9th card. We'll give you some analysis. We'll give you our predictions on that one because that's going to be a fun one because there's every fight. You cannot miss one fight on this card because everyone is so good. So until next time, Flatline MMA. Peace.